I know you don't care about this, but this topic has come up a bunch in the last week. And certainly in my new job, it's come up. And that's the idea of Chris Paul as the MVP. And I said this the other day, and I'm not saying you shouldn't be in the discussion,
right.
But I said this the other day. There's a group of people who think that Chris Paul is the MVP of the Phoenix Suns. There's a group of people that think Devin Booker is the MVP of the Phoenix Suns. That fact sort of hurts the two of you. And then you look at your clutch numbers, both of you, your team's on-off net rating, the main group, Mikal, Jay, DeAndre, you, Devin. What do you think has allowed you guys to be so good in clutch time?
First and foremost, what I do know playing for so long is that even them conversations can become toxic to teams, right? Where guys start trying to figure out, shit, I'm the MVP, or he, you know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that me and Book got the relationship to where we can talk, because we didn't seen that movie before, Bubs. So they need to calm that down. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody with all that. But I think for us, we actually talked about on the plane last night, is you got to build that equity, right? You got to build that. You got to show people what you're capable of. And I think me and him, we had to build that trust in knowing, sometimes you can have too many guys. You know what I mean? Because then you start trying to figure out who's going to take the shot, who's going to do this, who's going to do that. But I think there's a trust factor there. And I'd be rooting like hell for Book, man. When he got like an ISO on somebody, like as soon as he about to shoot it, I'm like, that's three. But the biggest thing is that we done built it up with our team. And I hate to bring it back to me, but it was a conversation we had on the plane last night. And I don't know if we talked about this, but what's giving me the biggest perspective is changing teams in my career. It's changing teams. And I would tell any guy who's been drafted to a team and is thinking about like leaving or something like that, is your situation is your situation, but always remember that team that drafted you sometimes has some type of loyalty towards you, right? Like when it's your team, it's your team. Right now, some crazy stuff happened and you got to go your separate ways or whatnot, but it's something to be said about being with your team. Because even though I went from New Orleans to the Clippers, like when I went from Clippers to Houston, that was a damn wake-up call. You know what I mean? Like, you get there and it's like, hey, nice to have you here, but it wasn't no loyalty from nobody to me there. You know what I mean? See how they traded my ass.
It was James' team.
Right. And so you just got to be conscious of that. Like, I feel like another team they may not have, but didn't even let me know that I was getting traded. And then you got to prove yourself over again. I think that's the thing that's made me competitive too. Like I was telling Monty last night, when I got to Houston, I remember one of our first games or something like that, we was playing somebody and the game was kind of close or something like that. And I looked at James, I was like, yo, give it to me. Give it to me. And I scored or whatever. And everybody was like, hey, yeah. And I'm like, what the hell are y'all so excited about? Like, I do this, right? And then I went to OKC, right? And so I remember being in practice at OKC and I would do something and make a shot or something like that. And they was looking at me like, oh, he can play. The fuck do you mean? Like it was that all over again, right? So started hitting clutch shots or something like that in OKC and they like, oh man, he can play. Boom, get to Phoenix last year. And I was telling Monty last night, I think it was our game in Denver. It was in Denver earlier in the season and the game was on the line and I had the ball and I went left and like I hit a floater or something like that locked the game up. And everybody was like, oh man, he could. And I'm sitting here like, well, damn. But I'm telling you, like a lot of people don't realize that's what you have to do over and over again and that's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. But a lot of times when you stay with that same team, everybody know it.
I wanted to ask about Devin about obviously the last time you came on, you hadn't played with him yet.
Mm.
And so what you've been surprised by about his skill set, because his skill set is something else, but just like actually playing with him versus playing against him.
Man, listen, I done played with some great shooters, right? Like JJ, I played with Peja Stojakovic. I played with some like knockdown shooters. Book is different. Like we do shooting games every day. And I say this all the time. I used to kick JJ's ass in shooting games.
We need the video of this.
Bubs.
We need the video.
What? Me, you, and Maul would do like the shooting games, like where. Listen, I'll tell you this right.
My ass.
Well,
you
listen,
would occasionally beat me.
No, don't occasionally.
Oh my
but
God!
This is the difference. This is the difference. If we talking about just catch and shoot, stand there, no defense running at you or whatnot, I can do that all day. Now, if you ask me to run off a screen and catch and shoot, I can't do that.
That's actually true. You're
it.
probably a better standstill shooter than I am. 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
I know that.
But you didn't beat me every time. That's not
okay,
factual
right.
at all.
If we did 10, it was like 8 out of 10. But I always say this about Bubs, it's like, I can't do that, right? So like I have a crazy appreciation for guys who can sprint and just, I can't do that, not even a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And so like to see Devin, like at times when he just running, boom, and he go right, left, catch and shoot, boom, and he can do it off the dribble, and he a guard, right? That's one of the biggest things that I respect the most about him. And he a hooper. Like he just love to hoop. And he crazy. He crazy. Like Sicko, he's another one.
He's another one.
He's another one.
That's why you guys get along.
That's why it works. It's because he's so competitive. He's so competitive. He another guy that I know, like if a game going on, he'll text me or I'll text him. So